So Jake did everything right. He went to school, he worked hard, he was disciplined, completed all his homework, even managed to attain a college diploma. And what did society tell him the whole time? From a young age, society told him he'd be able to get a good job if he did all these things. Society told him that he'd be able to have kids, get his own house, and everything would be alright. But what actually did happen? So, he graduated from college with a business degree, and he quickly found out that the job market is oversaturated. There's a lot of talent to go around, but it seems as though no one really wants to get that talent on board. So what's the reason for this? Well, AI is replacing functions. We have many of the so-called lower skilled jobs being taken over by AI, and even the entry-level jobs are facing this same problem, which means that people like Jake are now struggling to even find roles that are suitable for their position. And now, what do we have? Well, entry-level jobs want years of experience. And the problem is, you can't get experience, because you can't get a job in the first place. He applies to many of them, and he finds himself stuck, rejected, unseen. They ask for so much, and yet deliver so little in terms of wages. And, well, he decides, okay, let's pack this up a bit. Let's go for something a little easier. Let's go for a minimum wage job. So what he sees is a warehouse job. And what it asks him for is a whole year of prior experience in the warehouse for the mere privilege of working minimum wage. Now, this is a bit problematic, as you can tell, because we have the sorts of lower rungs of society, you could say, the lower skilled jobs that actually been propped up, and now you have to worry about having experience to even get into them to be able to secure a minimum wage salary. And now the problem this then leads on to for Jake in particular is he feels like a failure. He went through all that effort to get a college degree, went through school, he got decent grades, he worked hard, he was disciplined. And still, he can't even secure a job. And even a relatively low-skill job at that. So what happens next? Well, family tension rises. His parents say, well, we were able to get a job back in the day. Why can't you just get a job? What's going wrong? Just apply more. You'll get a job eventually. And then Jake begins to shift the focus a bit. He says, well, what if the problem isn't actually me, but the system itself? What if I'm not actually making the wrong decisions here necessarily? What if the system wants me to feel that I have to work my arse off just to make a penny? And more importantly, should I have to continue going on this route, or should I expect something better for myself? Well, the truth is, the situation that Jake found himself in, unable to secure a job despite putting in all this effort, well, it's not all that uncommon. It's faced by many young people all over the world, regardless of whether it's first world, second world, or third world. The problem is pervasive. So what does Jake do in response to that? He decides to pivot. He redirects all this effort from job applications and propping up his CV as much as he possibly can to instead researching markets, trends, manipulation, all of these different topics that can be used to help him invest in crypto. Now, what does this do for him? He learns a bunch of non-traditional routes, studies harder than he ever has, and he actually feels like he's getting to grips with this whole thing. The system rejected him, so he decided to reject the system, to find an alternate route. And now here lies another problem. The parents are seeing, well, he's no longer applying to any of these positions. He's wasting his time on this whole crypto thing, and, well, how can he possibly be successful if he doesn't follow the standard script? And then things change a little bit. For the first time, Jake actually realizes that he has his own agency. He doesn't need to follow through on this same script that has been handed to him on a silver platter to near enough everyone in society. He realizes that he can carve his own path, that he doesn't need to rely on these outdated concepts to be successful. So what happens? He begins investing. He makes small wins, and he trusts the process. He uses that same discipline he used to make it through college and through school, and to achieve those decent grades over the years. He uses it to put it into something that doesn't revolve around a paycheck necessarily, doesn't revolve around a boss or someone performing an evaluation of your value based on standards that seem to be skyrocketing. And so, let's skip a year into the future. How's Jake doing now? Well, the possibility of financial independence has actually become real for him. He's managed to make decent returns, he's used all that knowledge he's accumulated, the strategies he's discovered, to actually be able to draw in some revenue, to be able to make profit. And this is all without him ever working a job in the first place. So, his parents begin to catch on to this. At first, they were very skeptical of his approach. At first, they thought, well, there's no way you can possibly do something like this. And then when he pulls it off, they're shocked, and they gradually come around. Now, what does Jake's story actually tell us? What Jake's story tells us is that we have some major systemic issues in our society that, well, they're only going to become worse as the years go on. AI is only going to become more sophisticated. There is the generational gap that still exists despite this very different economy we're living in, the very different standards. And the increasing wealth disparity is obviously another factor for consideration here. But what about mental health issues? That's another one I was thinking about. Mental health issues seem to be very prevalent, especially in younger generations, and they seem to only become worse as we have this unfortunate and quite tragic spiral of applying to jobs, feeling like you're not good enough, and then just repeating and repeating, hoping to get lucky. It's like begging for scraps, if you really think about it. And that's what our society has sort of engineered young people, or you could say indoctrinated through school systems, young people into believing this is what they should do. And naturally it's awful for the self-esteem when you go through hundreds of rejection emails, you curate your CV, you put effort into doing your own individual projects, say if you're getting into the IT industry, and you still get nothing for all those efforts. It feels like you just all your time is just going down the drain, despite perhaps you being a very talented individual. You're not rewarded for this at all. Now, as you've likely picked up on, Jake isn't actually a real person. He's just a stand-in for what many people in younger generations are going through nowadays. And the issue is becoming increasingly pervasive, and as the years go on, as I said, you can only expect it to become worse. But the thing with Jake's approach is that he is the exception, not the rule. Jake being able to make these sorts of returns and to to be able to actually deviate from this system that has been imposed upon us, this system that claims to know the answers to us being able to actually live fulfilling lives. His deviation from that and his success is very rare. But the point isn't that it's rare, it's that it's possible. And if you truly do believe in yourself, you really do put in the effort, which many people are capable of. And in fact, I'll go so far as to say that I believe you, whoever's out there watching this video, you are capable of doing that, and you have massive potential. And honestly, in my opinion, you shouldn't allow society to go ahead and say, okay, this is what your worth is, you're not allowed a job because you don't fit my criteria. What you should think about yourself is that you do have value irrespective of that, because human beings have intrinsic value. Don't allow anyone to tell you otherwise, and don't allow anyone to make these sorts of judgments about your worth based on what job you work, or whether you're unemployed, or whether you make 6 figures a year. Honestly, just believe in yourself, and you can make it one day. I wholeheartedly will stand by that. If you really have that motivation, that drive, that belief, don't allow yourself to be swayed by other people that aren't on your boat. Say, for example, like your like the parents in Jake's story. You don't have to listen to them. You can listen to yourself. You can trust yourself, and know that you deserve a life that is fulfilling for yourself, without being defined by this sort of system that is so adamant on tossing us to the wayside and treating us like all we amount to as human beings is labor points, and if we don't reach their standards, then we're ultimately useless or valueless. It's not true by any stretch of the imagination. It's a complete fabrication, and the only person who actually determines what your value is yourself. So just remember that. So what am I trying to get at here with this video? Well, what I want to do is raise awareness for this, so people can actually start, especially older generations, can have a bit more sympathy, I suppose, for younger generations, and to also encourage those young people to really think outside of the box and see what they can do to generate an income independent of this setup, this outdated script that, well, clearly doesn't work anymore. I mean, it works for the upper classes, definitely, but not for the average person. They've been tossed to the wayside a long time ago. But yeah, I'd really appreciate any comments you have on this, or any insights you'd like to share. Alright, this has been Fol. Do me a favour and have a wonderful rest of your day, and remember that you are an amazing person who deserves all the good that the world throws at you. And yes, one more thing. In future videos, I will discuss how we can sort of start to change this, to find solutions for this, both at an individual level and a collective level. So be sure to check those out when they release.